Mwai Kibaki is the SI unit of what went wrong with Kenya, what is wrong with Kenya. So let us examine the things that he did and what you'd call the zombie government that was inherited by Uhuru Kenyatta and subsequently by William Ruto. So you can see that these people, sure, they made their own mistakes, and we look at those. There is nothing they can do unless they reverse what Kibaki did. Because in terms of failure, in terms of neoliberal policies, in terms of killing Kenya as a nation, as a productive unit, Mwai Kibaki, it's all on him. So we are going to use the analogy of the house so that you can look at the house, the home, and the residence. Kenya is the house he inherits. He inherits a house that is under siege. The IMF, World Bank, they have put sanctions. Everybody wants a piece of Kenya. Moi is trying to hold. Sure, some structural adjustments have been done, especially in the late 90s, because there is no money. But Kenyans are rebuilding. They are industrializing using their own necessity. Right? You have schools, you have functional hospitals, everything is there. Then Kibaki comes in, and now for the PR, he's like free primary education. We'll use that even as the end be all. Free primary education is introduced, but this comes with a World Bank loan, and with that loan, now you can see what is known as the poison pill, like in the room called education. In the room called education, sure, have free primary education, so that everybody is forced into school, which is okay, universal education, but allow private schools to operate, and more so open tertiary, so that you give now PPPs and money is flown into, give them charters because you want to take over your research institutions, and this is where most of the money is made. The Americans know that. They have been operating these models forever, and that is the end of Kenya's education. Kenyans are paying, but you now have a parallel, fast-growing private education operators. Right now, in this moment in Kenya, the only people making money or having a return on their investment in the Kenyan education need, which is a basic need for all Kenyans, are the owners of private schools and universities. They are the only ones who can make a buck. Why? Because when you introduce parallel programs of public and private, the private business is like rust. Since it is not productive, it is relying on the inefficiencies of government, and it is also relying on the fact that Kenya has also some inbuilt systems that makes them desirable. You do private, very high-end private primary schools, put them in public schools. They step over. So the rich now are benefiting. These people are like, will make your child go to alliance and so on and so forth. In other words, health, education, and also social good, Kibaki kills like that. Tax and healthcare. Look. Private insurance, private hospitals, again, the businesses and the rich benefit. In other words, he takes Kenya, even loans. Some people say, oh, there were a lot of jobs from loan. The jobs that came were from brokers. Banks are basically, they broker, some of them do commerce, like transaction, sure. But mainly, you take public money, it's do what development project, what, put it there, tax-free, and then they commercialize that. And then accountability is very limited. These are facts of Kenya. So he took everything. So he sold the house. There is a loan to pay. But rather than Kenya now working hard to be able to produce productive economy, productive working people, putting our belts, people are now being forced to pay more money to private players. So you see, you have a loan and you are eating takeaway. You're eating KFC instead of cooking at home. That is the mentality. Second mentality, now he's inviting other people who should not be invited. So he invites other tenants, specifically in business community and in trade. So Kenyans now are being pushed from work. So he's selling, he's privatizing some rooms. Pepper, no. Sugar, no. Health, no. Education, no. He invites other people to lease now, to sublet within this already mortgaged house. So now they start getting in and they move in and they squeeze out fully the residents, the Kenyans, and the public service, so that now they are the providers. So we are in a house that is in loan and the rooms are occupied by private players, and yet we are still paying taxes. Then the role of government changes from working. So you go to Ministry of, say, Public Works. Those people are not working. Their work is to oversee subcontractors and contractors, so that now the money, even though the taxes we pay are going to private hands, but we are also paying government to function. So the government of Kenya becomes an enforcer. Kazi yake sasa ni to regulate taxes and to collect more taxes. In fact, one of the things that happened at Kibaki was that KRA, now the machine being sharpened, get your taxes, collect, because we now no longer are productive. Why? Even the import, the money we made, even from the little we produce, it's even the herbal garden you have. Imagine having your own sukuma wiki garden there. It's not allowed. Now they want to bring sukuma wiki from another place. That is how it was. Like, remove any element of production, even if it is not making profit, because they were saying government is not efficient, profit making. This guy who studied education and economics, and people are saying he's so clever, he was turning the government or measuring it in terms of being profitable. That is why all the business people and business speak were talking, because everybody wanted to make money off Kenyans. In other words, state capture. So let us look at how he introduced now the zombie government. So we pay taxes for education, for roads, but not only do we not get this directly, there are private players. Things like roads and other services are now subcontracted. So we are paying a Ministry of Public Works. They also have the equipment, but they subcontract to other people. So government or services become 3 or even 10 times more expensive, and yet we are same value. So the work of government now pushes more collecting taxes, and overregulating, and corruption becomes inherent. And so then, to make matters even worse, part of now the loan is bringing more products. So we get mitumba and we get cheap products from other places. Every cheap product that comes from outside is a job that could have been done by Kenyans. It's a technology that could have been done here, or at least assembled here. So he sells our jobs, so we become a consumptive economy. So tuko kwa nyumba, we are in the house. The rooms belong to individual people. Power privatized. What privatized? We don't own a room. We are just there. We now become subscribers. Tukaanza kulipa rent through the taxes. That is why now by the time William Ruto is coming, taxes are so high. And inflation. Some people were saying, "Did you what this?" No. Inflation started to impact Kenyans in that way under Kibaki. Because now we stopped being productive. Everything we were buying, including even flour, everything was coming from abroad. These are taxes, and the government is making money. That's why it appeared it was growing. But we were not. We were not being forced to be consumers. Kenyans were being told to be dependent. And remember, then the other services that came with the World Bank and the IMF was now services. Because the government was being conditioned to stop working, we had a lot of NGOs in healthcare, in education, in every aspect of Kenya, even in agriculture. Extension services are killed, but you have a lot of NGOs in agriculture. You kill SACCOs, but you have a lot of them collecting. And then later they become digital money, whatever, these fintechs. That's what they did. Loans, loans, loans. So people have loans. The nation has loans. We pay for people to pay other people to work. Even the government people we pay don't work. And then we don't own anything anymore. So you tell me, the zombie government is, we pay them, they bite us, but we never get anything in life. We never get anything living or complete from the government. Now we are subscribers. You want healthcare, you subscribe. You want what or you are a customer. That is what Kenyans have become. That is how we stopped owning the house. We stopped being citizens in our country. Uhuru Kenyatta becomes president. Rather than trying to reverse, he also has the mandate of counties. Counties have all the productive units. But because of also this presidency, also this hunger for power, and maybe even some of the policies we don't know, I cannot go to the mind of Uhuru Kenyatta. They go and say, they mess up devolution. So instead of finding a way, because if Uhuru Kenyatta was fighting for the sovereignty of Kenyans, he could leave the government, national government, to become gutted and put the services and then oversee counties so that we can become productive. He doesn't. They want to keep more money. The corruption industrial complex is too embedded in the national government, and that is what they want to eat. And so Kibaki makes that. And so to get more loans to Shylock now, he inflates the GDP. So this GDP is based off inflated figures of including this corruption metrics, including consumption, not productive. So we are talking gross domestic product, but it's gross domestic eating. It's not GDP for Kenya. It's what we eat, it's what we consume. But because of these people want to give more money, they allow that. Then William Ruto becomes president. He finds the house is all gone. There is very little left for him. So kazi ya William Ruto imekuwa sasa furniture arrangement. Anatoa SHA, anaiweka, change cover, anapata NHIF, change covers, anaitengeneza SHA. Just changing covers. Kazi yake ni interior decoration. Nyumba ishaenda. Uhuru Kenyatta alipata nyumba ni ya wenyewe, akajaribu, lakini he was still too greedy and still held with that, and they could not allow him to do anything. Come William Ruto. Kazi ya William Ruto is just decoration. Hakuna kitu he has been unable. Bottom up would have now allowed him, if it had been applied, to now go back to production kwa ground. Unasema hakuna kunini kitunguu, hakuna kuimport mbosho, hakuna kuimport mayai like that, but he didn't.